Hey, what's up, everybody? All right, so, the weather here in Jersey, it's February, and it's kind of nice. It's not cold, there's no snow, but I have a feeling we're going to get hit. So what I want to do is, I want to make myself a big pot of chili and freeze it. So, so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to do some chili. And this is what you will need. So, this is beef cubes that you get in the supermarket, and I chopped them even finer. This is about a 1 1/4 pound. This is about a 1 1/4 pound of sausage meat, and this is 2 pounds of 1585 chopped meat. That's 15% fat, 85% meat. And I've got here a couple cloves of garlic. I've got, this is about 1 1/2 bell pepper. This is 2 medium onions. And you're also going to need a couple cans of kidney beans. This Goya chipotle peppers and adobe sauce. This is going to add some nice spice and nice smoky flavor to it. I don't know how much I'm going to use of this just yet. A can of beef broth, 6-ounce can of tomato paste, a can of crushed tomatoes, and fire roasted diced tomatoes. Now, normally when I make chili, I just throw it together and I really don't follow a recipe. But because I'm making a video and I want you guys to have something to go by, I'm going to show you what I'm going to start with. And as I adjust the seasoning, I will put it in the description. So that being said, go to the description for the actual amounts. We're also going to use a Serrano chili. I couldn't find any habaneros. So what we have is, let's start here. This is 2 tablespoons of chili powder. This is 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. This is 1 tablespoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of oregano, 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika, and 1 teaspoon of brown sugar. This is the first time I'm actually trying brown sugar. And you'll need a big pot. Normally I cook pounded bacon and I use the bacon grease. I've got bacon grease here that I've collected over, the last couple weeks, and I'll be using this. But use whatever grease you want to start this off with. We're going to start off by sauteing the onion and pepper and a little bit of garlic, and that's going to we're going to do that until it's translucent. I'm going to add a couple tablespoons. I'm going to let that melt. Okay, so this is heating up, and most of that bacon fat is melted. So now I'm going to add these vegetables. Now you'll notice I didn't list any salt. I'm going to salt towards the end. However, I am going to put a pinch of salt so it helps it get translucent. Right. I'm also going to add that garlic. I'm at about a medium heat here. All right, let me sweat these down, and we'll be back. Okay, so these aren't quite as translucent as they as they need to be just yet, but I'm about halfway there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that tomato paste and I'm going to put that tomato paste in here. This will help cook down that that rawness of the tomato paste. I turn the heat up a little bit. All right, let me cook this down and then we'll be back. Okay, so this has been cooking for about 3 or 4 minutes. This is pretty much where I want it to be. So now I'm gonna start with just the sausage meat. I want to render as much of that fat down as possible. And then we'll follow it up with the ground beef, and then finally the other meat, the beef cubes, chopped beef cubes. Again, so I added the meat to this. It's going to bring the temperature down a little bit, so I turned up the temperature and try to get this a little browned. It doesn't have to be too brown. So let me cook this down and we'll be back. Okay, so this has been browning for about 3 or 4 minutes. Now we're gonna throw the chopped meat in. Okay, so this is cooked down. Again, another 3 or 4 minutes. Yeah, there's still some red in the meat there, but that's okay. I'm going to throw all our seasoning in here. Throw all our seasoning in here. Let this cook for a little bit, and then we'll start adding the broth and the tomatoes. And I did forget to mention that there's a cup of beer. I got to go out and get the beer. All right. 1 can beef broth, 1 can of fire roasted tomatoes, and 1 can of crushed tomatoes. I'm going to add half a can of water because I like to make sure I get everything out of the can. So I go back and forth to make sure I clean these cans. And that's it, nice and clean. All right, so we're gonna let this slowly come up to a boil, and then we're gonna reduce it to a simmer. All right, and guess what? I forgot the other meat. So after we add all that, now we're going to add this meat. We're going to let this just slowly cook, and we're going to break it up. Okay, so I'm going to let this slowly come up to a boil of some sort, and then we're going to reduce it and simmer. Okay, this is an ingredient that I forgot because I didn't have it and I ran out and got it real quick. A cup of beer. Your favorite, whatever your favorite suds are, you know, you put that in there. You put that in now. So you'll notice we didn't put the beans in yet. The beans are going to go in towards the end because I don't want them to get mushy. So Now I'm going to let this cook down, then we're going to taste it for seasoning, and we're going to add, if we have to add, oh, forgot this too. I want to add this. Okay, so these come like whole peppers, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop them up and then throw them in. Okay, so I chopped those chipotles up, and I'm adding some of the adobe sauce. I've got more sauce over there. These are pretty spicy, so I'm not sure if I should add it all the adobe sauce, but I'm going to add all the peppers. Okay, I just tasted it, and I think I'm going to add the rest of this adobe sauce in here. Okay, now we'll bring this up to a little bit of a boil and then reduce it to a simmer. You want to be careful that you don't burn the bottom. Okay, my mic was off, sorry. So as you saw, it was at a rolling boil. So once it was at a rolling boil, I put that one seeded serrano in, and now I turned it down, and we're gonna simmer it. We're gonna simmer it so it's just barely moving, and we're just gonna let that go for at least an hour. And then we'll come back and we'll taste it for seasoning. And in that hour, this will reduce and it'll become a little bit thicker. All right, so this has been going for an hour, and it looks good. So now we're gonna taste it for seasoning. Okay, it's going to need some salt. And I think it needs a little bit more cumin. It was 1 tablespoon that I originally added. I think I'm going to add about a half a tablespoon. So again, the corrected amount will be in the description. Wash my spoon. Definitely, that's it. I'm good with the seasoning. So now, I took those beans, those 2 cans of beans, and I rinsed them. Now we're going to add the beans to the chili and stir them in. Then we're going to cook this for about another, I don't know, 30 minutes or so. Uncovered, of course. And then we'll be done. So you just stir those in real good. Ah, damn. I know what I forgot. I forgot Worcestershire. So it's okay if we add it now. It's I don't think it's all that critical, and there's really not that much that's going in there. I'm going to start with a tablespoon. Put a tablespoon in and see. I'm so sorry about that. I wish this here is only a small difference. It's not a big difference. So anyway, yeah. Let's let this cook down for another half hour, and then we'll dish it out. All right, so we are done. Smells great, looks great, and I'm sure it tastes great. So I'm gonna get me some. All right. So it looks really good. It smells really good. I'm gonna taste it, and then that'll pretty much be it for the video. And then I'm gonna really fix this up proper with some cheddar cheese and maybe some sour cream. So, cheers. Definitely. Just enough spice. As a matter of fact, it might be too much for some people. It's not for me though. So, anyway, I hope you try this. It's really good. And making it in a big batch, this stuff freezes great. And then you'll be all set for those cold days. All right, so that's it. Until next time.